Trigonometry, section 8.7 about Pascal's Triangle. There once was a story about a man named Blaise Pascal. They called him, they called him Blaise Pascal. His first name was Blaise. I think one of the stories I heard was that some people thought he was hot. Other people thought he was pretty quick at the 40-yard dash. Anyway, so he was sitting around one day, when people are bored, they sit around and do math problems. So he said, well, what if I started creating a triangle? Every row started with a 1 and ended with a 1, and additional rows were found by adding entries above. So the two entries above were added together to get the new entry in the row below. But every row started and ended with a 1. So the next one would be 1, and 1 plus 2 is 3, and 2 plus 1 is 3, and 1, and 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. And boy, he was just having a fine, dandy time with good old Pascal's Triangle, I think they called him a mountaineer, and he did keep his family fed. And obviously, he was just shooting in the dark, and he found some crude oil, and they called it Pascal's Triangle. So, every triangle, every term in the triangle can be calculated. So, we do not have to build a massive triangle to find a particular entry. Every term in the triangle can be calculated by this thing right here, NCR, right? That's combinations. Well, n is the number of the row of Pascal's triangle, and r is 1 less than the term. See if I can scoot over far enough so you can see that. R is 1 less than the term. Sorry, I ran out of room when I was writing my notes. Yeah, that'll teach me a lesson. Anyway, so if you're asked to find the first 4 terms of row 7, okay, row 7, well, it's the first term is 7, the name of the row, and you start with 1 less than the name of the term, so that's 7 choose 0, and 7 choose 1, and 7 choose 2, and 7 choose 3 for the 4th term. So 7 choose 0. If you've got your handy dandy machine, so 7 math, go over to the probability section, third one down, right? NCR 0. Well, we knew that was going to be a 1 because the first term of every row is a 1. I bet I know the second term of every row. Go back and look at Blaise's triangle. Good old Pascal's triangle. Some people call him Pasquale, but I think it's Pascal. Look at the second term and the second to the last term. Those are the names of the rows. So this is the first row and the second row and the third row and the 4th row and the 5th row. And I guess this one we call the 0th row. So what do you think the second term happens to be? 7. Check it out if you want to. Now 7 choose 2, right? So second enter brings up the previous calculator instruction. I know I don't want 7 choose 0, so I'm going to go back and edit that. That's 21, and while I'm at it, I might as well do 3, so that's 35. So 21 and 35 are my remaining terms, 21 and 35. So those are the first 4 terms of the 7th row. Now we can go through the triangle and kind of understand some of the properties. The first and last terms of every row are 1s. That makes sense. We've talked about that. The second and second to last term of every row equals the name of the row. That's an important one. Each row is symmetric. Symmetric meaning that if you split the row down the middle, you would have a matching value on either side. And another cool fact, the sum of every row is 2 to the n. Let's go back and take a look at that particular property. So if I come back up to Pascal's triangle, over here on the side, I'm going to put the sum. I will just use the sigma. Well, the sum of the 0th row is 1 and 2, and 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4, and 1 plus 3, that's 6, 8, and 10, and 6 more makes 16, and 32. Oh, look, that is true. Look at that. 2 to the 0, 2 to the first, 2 to the second, 2 to the third, 2 to the fourth, 2 to the fifth. Well, that's pretty cool. So as long as I know the name of the row, I can tell you the sum of the entire row. So here's another set of questions. What's the second entry of row 47? Yes, it's 47. What about row x plus 5? Row x plus 5. Why, yes, the answer is x plus 5 because that's the name of the row. Yeah, I know, I was trying to trick you. Alright, example 3. The sum, as n goes from 0 to 10, of 10 choose n. This would be 10 choose 0 plus 10 choose 1 plus dot 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 plus all the way up to 10 choose 10. How am I going to figure that out quickly? Well, where do we find all of these entries? Wouldn't we find them in the 10th row of Pascal's triangle? And we know the sum of every single row of Pascal's triangle, right? Isn't it 2 to the 10th power? Now, if I don't have a calculator, that's probably going to stretch me a little bit. But it's really 32 times 32, isn't it? But, you know, handy-dandy machine does spit out 1024. That's kind of reasonable without a machine. But this is extremely reasonable without a machine. You should be able to say 2 to the 10th very quickly on those questions. How about example 4 here? 17 choose 9 equals 17 choose k. Find a value for k other than 9. Yeah, I know you smart people out there go, 9. Did that sound like him? Because I don't know if I got it that time. You know who I'm talking about. Okay, so this is 17 factorial over 17 minus 9 factorial times 9 factorial. According to my definition of combinations, and 17 factorial over 17 minus k factorial over k factorial. Well, this is really 17 factorial over 8 factorial, 9 factorial. So, if k is not 9, what could it possibly be? Oh, yes, 8. K would be equal to 8. Which, by the way, just happens to be the difference between 17 and 9. So, I'm thinking on those questions, you just take the difference between this one, and that has to be your answer. Oh, yeah, because it's right there. Okie dokie. So, that takes care of that example, and that takes care of lesson 8-7.